Hello and welcome back. I have one close friend called Mani, and he is using multiple UPI apps. He is using Paytm, he is using GPay, as well as he is using PhonePe. And he has shared me one peculiar problem. Since all the transactions are minor amount, he is really finding it very difficult to download the bank statement, extract the petty expenses, and maintain it. He was asking me, is it possible to do an automation so that I can automatically update an Excel sheet and maintain all my small expenses made through the UPI app? Is it possible? Yes, it is very much possible. I requested him to do one small thing. I just asked him to update his bank account so that it is sending an alert message to his email for every transaction, be it for 1 rupee or be it for 50,000 rupees. And he has done it. And today's lesson, we are going to see how we can extract those emails and find what is the bank account from which he has done the transaction and the amount he has paid and to whom it has paid and what is the transaction ID, and update an Excel sheet which he can maintain and figure out how his expenses are being managed. Let us jump directly to the course. Let us create a new flow and call it UPI transaction update flow. You can name it anything you like. And I'm enabling the power effects. I'm going to give a comment to this particular flow. So for adding a comment for it, there is a section called flow control, and inside that you have an action called comment. The comment I'm going to give to read the UPI transaction alerts from Gmail and update the Excel sheet. My first step is to read the email from Gmail. If you have not seen my previous video about how to access the Gmail account, please go through that, because you need to enable the two-factor authentication in Google, as well as you need to create an app password. Where I covered it very clearly in my previous video. I provide the link in the description and you can view that. Let me go to the email action group, and in that I have an action called retrieve email message. I'm going to retrieve the email message. The IMAP server for Gmail is imap.gmail.com and the port is 993. We are leaving it. We are leaving the enable SSL as true, and the username is your Google username. Either it's a Google account name or the Gmail account name. I'm going to give my account for now. This account I'm using only for this kind of transactions. Password need to be your app password. Please refer to my previous video about how to create an app password. And I have already created the app password and saved it in my desktop as a text file, and I'm copying and pasting it. And I'm going to save it as retrieved emails, and I'm going to use some email filters. I'm going to read it from my inbox, and I will retrieve all the messages, whether it is already read or not read, because I want to clean it up. So I'm going to read everything, and once it is read, I'm going to mark it as read, and from I need to extract. I will open one and I will copy this. So this is the from address from where I'm getting the alert messages. Let me copy this. And 2, I don't have any issue. And subject, I want to filter the subject, because from alerts@hdfcbank.in, I may get so many emails. So I want to specifically take only those emails which are having this subject. Let me copy that and paste it over here. I don't have any issue with the body, and normally I will not have attachment, so I'm going to leave it this way. And we have already configured the IMAP server, and I press save. Now that we have read the emails, it may be 5 or it may be 10 or it may be 100. All the emails, whichever has been read, will be stored in a variable called retrieved emails as a list. In our previous video, we have seen how to find the number of emails using a loop. But to find the count of emails, we have another function which is already available, with 𝗨𝗃 and we will be using that. I'm going to display a message from the message boxes action group and I say number of emails and it's a list. So I'll be using count rows as one new function which you may need to learn, and from where I'm going to find the count of rows from the retrieved emails. I am just going to keep the message as always on top and press save. Okay, at this point of time, let us run and see whether it is reading the email from my Gmail account and finds the count of emails. Let me run it. It has run the flow and it is showing that there are 123 emails in my inbox. Please remember, the retrieving email from your Gmail account may be a slow process. It took almost 80 to 90 seconds for me to complete this particular process flow. When you are running, if it is taking more time, be patient, wait for some time, it will read and it will display. The speed also depends on the number of emails you have in your inbox. Now the next step is we are going to process one by one email and extract the body text and do the processing. How do you extract each mail and take the body text? For that, we can use our loop function. So in the loop, there is a for each loop. What is a list which we are going to iterate from? We are going to iterate from retrieved emails, and every time one email is retrieved, we are going to store it as current email item. Now let us do one small thing, because I have 123 emails. I don't want to repeat everything. I'm going to do it only for 3. For that, I'm going to do a small thing over here. I'm going to initialize a variable, set variable, current row, and this is 0. Here in this loop, every time the loop is running, I'm going to increment the value by 1. So I'm going to increase the value by 1. To which variable? Current row by 1. So I did a mistake over here. We are using 𝗨𝗃, so our current row should be equal to 0. Otherwise, if I am not doing the equal to 0, my current row will be a text field. So I am going to mark it as equal to 0. Now inside the loop, I am going to increment it. I am going to increment my current row by 1 every time. And I want to see only 3 items. So I will put one if condition over here. I will go to the conditional and use the if condition. Current row is greater than 3. Then I'm not going to process further. I will go to the loop and say exit loop. So this is only to restrict our flow, because we will be in this particular process, we will be running this particular flow multiple times. Every time I cannot wait for 1.5 minutes. So that is the only reason I am implementing this variable and incrementing it and exiting the loop after 3 times. You don't need it in your real time. The next step what I am going to do is I am going to extract the body text. So how can I do that? Let me initialize a variable over here. I will set a variable over here and call it as my email text. And my email text is nothing else but current email item. And inside that, if you go, you have a body text. I am not using body, but I'm using body text. Why? Because if you open my email and open any of the mail, it is an HTML text. So inside the HTML text, if I take, there will be a lot of HTML tags will be there. But if I use the body text over here, it will be retrieving plain text. We will just run and see, even though we may need to wait for some minutes, I'm just going to put a debugger over here so that every time it is repeating, it will stop here and we will be able to see what is the email text. Okay, the flow is running and it is telling me that there are 123 emails, and in my debugging point, it has stopped. If I go to my email text and double click it, my entire emails body text are available over here. Let me view it and copy it here, and let me open a notepad and paste it. We are going to read 3 emails. All the 3 emails will copy and paste it over here and analyze. Let me run it again. Next email is there. Go back to my text file and paste it. And the third email message text. Okay. If you look at all these things, all the emails are having a similar structure. One thing we need to note is that these messages are coming from one particular bank. If you are having an account in a different bank, your alert message may be slightly different, but it may be almost the same, right? What we are going to do is, from every email, we are going to take this particular amount from here, from here, from here, and similarly we are going to take the account number. It's going to be same if all the accounts are similar, and then we are going to take the payee details and the payee's name and the date of transaction and the transaction reference number also. All these things we are going to extract. Let us see how we can extract it. As a first step, we will extract this transaction date. Then we will take the rest of the things. For that, let me open my flow and create one region so that we are structuring this particular flow in a proper way. I'm creating one region, and the name of the region is retrieve transaction date. So from where we are going to take? We are going to take it from the email text. For that, we have one easy method. We might have learned in our previous lesson, but then also let us see here. In our text action group, there is an action called recognize entities in text. Let me drag and drop it over here. So the text to recognize from, it is our my email text. What is the entity type we are going to identify? We are going to identify the date and time. We are going to leave the language as English, and it is going to provide us a list. So let me just make it recognized date entities. Even though it is going to take time, let us run it and see what is the recognized entities in text is returning for us. So it's running. So if you go to the recognized date entities, if you view this, it is showing a list, a data table with 2 columns. One is the value and another one is the original text. So how do you extract this particular text and save it in your Excel sheet? For that, we will be using a variable. I'll use a variable over here and use a set variable, and I will call it as my transaction date. That is equal to first of recognize date entities dot, instead of value we will use original text within single quote. Why we are not using value and why we are using original text is because our bank statement is showing it as DDMMYY, but the Power Automate will recognize it as MMTDYY. If you go to our list, even though it is showing 3/4/2026, when you are taking it as a value, it will become 4/3/2026. But whereas the original text will remain the same. So that is the reason we are going to use the text value. So we have retrieved our transaction date. We will run it and see it later. So let me add another region to extract the transaction amount, the transaction ID and other details, other numeric details. Let me put one region over here. We are going to find three entities: transaction amount, bank account, transaction reference number. So what are these three elements? If you open our text file over here, so this is my bank account. Bank will not show the complete bank account, but only the last 4 digits of the bank account. And then it is the amount. This is the amount which has been transferred, and this is the transaction ID. These three elements we are going to extract. So how can I extract? The same method. We are going to use the text action group and use the recognize entities in text. The text to recognize from my email text, and instead of datetime I am going to recognize numbers, and the language is English, and simply we will change it to recognize numeric entities. Okay, to figure out how it is extracting, let us run it and see. It is running. So now if you look at the recognized numeric entries for the last item, let me open my text file also. This is for the last item, right? So first is the amount 3000. It has come over here, and then it is an account number. So it is, if you look at the value, it will be 773 as a number, but the original text will be with the 0 which is there in my bank account. And since we are taking all the numeric value, it will extract these values also, 3, 4, 26 also, separated 3, 4, 26, and then your transaction reference ID, that is 6459 something. So here it has extracted, and then your other phone numbers, everything also it will extract, because everything is a numeric value. So it has extracted the toll-free number and the number to which you need to send complaints or any other thing. Okay, now we have read this as a list. From this particular list, we need to extract the first row to take the transaction amount, the second row to take bank account number, and fifth row or the sixth row here, because it is one based. Whatever is shown as 0 is the first row, and whatever is shown as 5 is the sixth row. From the sixth row, we have to take the transaction reference number. So how can we take it? Let us see it quickly. So first let me take transaction amount. So if you look at the transaction amount, it actually is a value. It is a number. So we will take from the value. I will use one variable and store the transaction amount. I'll go to the variable and call it a set variable, and let me call it amount. So what is my transaction amount? I will use it as first of, because that is a first row. From where we need to take, it is from the recognized numeric entities dot value. So this is my transaction amount. Similarly, I will take the account number and the transaction reference number. I will set a variable over here and call it my account number. My account number, we will use this function called index, and from where we have to take it from recognized numeric entities. And if you look at, we've seen that our my account number is a second row. So the second row dot, and I will be taking the original text. We need to ensure that it is inside a single quote, because it is a 2 words. Let me take it. And similarly, I will take my transaction reference number also. Even though it is a numeric value, when we are updating in Excel, we will update it as a text. It is having more number of digits. We don't want to save it as a scientific number. So we'll call it as my transaction reference number. that is equal to, we already seen that it is a sixth row. We will say recognized numeric entities and row number 6 dot original text. Now if we run and see how we are getting these values. Let us run once. Let us verify whether the value it has read is matching with our text. So this is right now it has run thrice, so we have to validate with the last email. In the last email, our transaction amount is 3000. So we have my transaction amount as 3000. My account number is 0773, and here my account number is 0773. And the next thing is my transaction reference number 64596 something, and here it is coming. So we have completed extracting the transaction date, the transaction amount, the transaction reference ID, and my account number. Now it is time for us to read the payee details. Let me expand it. Our payee is having two components. One is the payee UPI ID and then the payee name. Look at the next row. This is the payee UPI ID and it is paid to Swiggy Limited. Similarly, I paid to somebody, some vendor. It is Fatima Begum 123 WW at @OKSBI, and this is her name. Now, how do we extract it? For this, we will be using the text functions which we learned in 𝗨𝗃. Let me explain this process also. Let us learn how to extract a portion of the text with a simple example. I have a text called my text, which is having a value as my name is Mutturaj and I am a student. And on the top, I have given the character position. It's starting with 1 and it is 0 plus 1 is 1. And this is the 10th position, this is the 20th position, and this is the 30th position. My requirement is that I need to extract Mutturaj. We don't know whether it is going to be Mutturaj. It may be Mutturaj, or it may be Ramesh, or it may be Suresh, anybody's name it may come. But we need to extract this. So one method to extract is to find where exactly my name starts and where exactly it ends. And then from the start to the ending position, extract the value. So how do I find my starting position? Before the start of my name, there is a word called space is space. I will find where this particular word is starting. That is space is space. It is starting at column position 8, character position 8. And it is having the length of 4 characters. One character for space, for one is I, yes, and another character for the space. So it is starting at 8 and it is having 4 character length. So the place where my name starts is 12. And to find the end position, similar way, I will find where there is a word called space and space is coming. So it is starting at column number, this is 10, so 18. Okay. So how much is the length of this particular string now? That the name Suresh, it is 18 minus 12, that is equal to 6. So that is the length of this particular string. So we have functions already available in Power Automate Desktop with 𝗨𝗃 to find start position is equal to find of, let me put it as a big character, is equal to find of, what is the text we are going to find? We are going to find this space is space. I'll put everything in the double quote, close, and from where I need to find it from my text. So this will result with the value 8. Now I will do start position. We have to add this 4 characters too. So start position is equal to start position plus 4, that is equal to 12. Similar way, we'll find the end position also. Find of, we have to find space and space. Let me copy this. We put it inside the double quote and my text. It should be found in between in the my text. So that is equal to, we already found that it is 18th character. What is the length of my name? That is equal to end position minus start position. So this is equal to end position is 18 and start position is 12. So that is equal to 6. How to find my name? We have another function called my name is equal to mid of my text. What is the starting position? It is 12. And what is the length of my text? It is 6. That will result with a word called Suresh. So this is the logic we will be using in our flow to extract our UPI ID and the UPI name. So it always starts after 2 space VPA and it is always ending after space on space. So there is no repetitive 2 VPA before this text and there is no repetitive space on before this text. So definitely it will work. But one thing we need to remember is that this is done for my own account using HDFC Bank. For other bank, this text may be slightly different. So you need to find out a way to extract this with the similar substituted words. So how do we implement it here? Let me implement a region. The region name is find UPI ID and name. The first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to find where exactly 2 space UPI space is starting. Let me copy this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use a variable, set variable, and call it as starting position. Starting position is nothing else but equal to find of, what is the text we are going to find? 2 VPA space, that everything should be inside the double quote, and from where I am going to find it from my email text. Similarly, I am going to find the ending position also. I will use this set variable. Ending position is equal to find of, I will go to this text. I am going to find up to space on space. Let me go to my this one and say double quote, close it, and I'm going to find it as my email text. This will give the position where this 2 is starting and the next one will give space before on. But will it work? No, it won't work. If you refer to our previous lesson on text functions using PowerFX, the find function is case sensitive. So we need to convert both the text to find and the text where it has to find to a single case. So let us make everything as uppercase. Upper of 2 VBA is equal to upper of my email text. Ensure that the bracket is closed. We have opened 2 brackets and all the brackets to be closed. Let us change here also. Upper of on is equal to upper of my email text. Now, as we said in our example, here we need to ensure that we have the starting position should include text to find also. So, in our case, it is 2 VPA space. So, that is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 7. So, we have to make sure that our starting variable is finding the starting position, and then we need to add 7 spaces too. Okay. Now, how do we extract it? For that, we are using the function. We are having a function called mid. My UPI account is mid of what is the text? My email text, comma starting position, comma how many characters we need to find? We need to find it. So that is nothing else but my ending position minus starting position. If you want, you can let us do it in a more simpler way so that we can understand it better. So we say that UPI ID length. Let us create one variable that is nothing else but ending position minus starting position. Now we can use the mid here. Payee details is equal to mid of my email text, comma starting position from where we need to start plus UPI ID length. Now what it will do? It will extract this entire text from CF to IRCTC e-ticketing. Let us check whether it is working fine by running the flow once. So the flow is running. Okay. So it has run once. If you look at our starting position, the starting position is column number 81 and the ending position is 116, and the UPI ID length is 35 characters, and my payee details, this is the UPI ID and it is followed by the name. We read the payee details. If you look at the payee details, it has both the UPI ID and the name of the payee. We want to extract the UPI ID separately and the payee name separately. How do we do that? For that, we will be using another function. Let us call it as payee detail array. We will use a function called split. All these functions we have explained in our previous video. I will provide the link for it. It is payee details and we are separating it by a space. And if we run it, you will get a list like this, and first item in the list, the value will be the UPI ID, and then if the name is having multiple words, it will have multiple things. We don't need to worry about that. First, we need to take the UPI ID. So how do you take the UPI ID? For that, it is the first item in the list. So it is so simple. We'll say pay UPI ID is nothing else but use the word first pay detail array, close it, dot value. If you run this, you will get a value like this. We need to take the payee name also. For that, what we will do, we will use the same logic. We will find the length of the UPI ID because our payee detail is having only the UPI ID and the UPI name. So we will find the length of this particular UPI ID, and from that point, the rest of the thing will be his or her name. We'll find it as a two-step. First, we'll find the length. You can combine all these functions in the same thing. Say UPI ID length is you have a function called len of and UPI pay UPI ID. If you run this, you will get a result like this. The value will be 24 characters or 30 characters depending upon the UPI ID. We know the complete text. The payee details is having the complete text. If you open this, payee detail is having the complete text, and we know the length of this also. So what is the name of it? The name of it is nothing else but starting from the length of the UPI ID plus 1 and the rest of the string. So we will use another variable called pay UPI name is equal to mid of pay details, comma, UPI length. We need to add 1 because there is one more space there, and then we will just give some characters, 200 characters or 300 characters, anything you like, you can put it. Now if you run, get the result something like this. So now we got all the details. We got the account number, the amount paid, our transaction reference number, UPI ID of the payee, his name, everything we got. Now the next thing what we need to do is simply write everything in our Excel sheet, something like this. Let us jump to the next step of writing it in the Excel sheet. Let us quickly see the Excel sheet which we are going to write. This is a blank Excel sheet. I saved it with the name UPI expense tracker and saved it in my desktop. The main components of this Excel sheet are I have an updated on field. Every time the flow runs, I need to update this particular value with the current date. And then I have the serial number, date, and all those details which we have learned so far. The serial number, you need to automatically increment one by one when a new row is added. Okay, now let us go back to our flow. So we have a for loop. We collapse it. Inside this for loop, we are processing each email and extracting all the elements. So the ideal place for us to start the Excel and open is before the for each loop is starting. So I am going to an action group called Excel, and inside Excel I am using the launch Excel action. I am going to use my existing Excel workbook. The document is saved in my desktop with the name UPay expense tracker. Let me close this one. I open it. Make this instance visible. Let it be visible for us when the flow runs. Open as read only. No, we are not going to open as read only. And we don't have any password protection or anything. So I am going to leave it as such. And the instance created is Excel instance. I am going to leave it the same way. The first thing what I need to do is I need to find the last row from where I am going to write the record. For that, I have an action called get first free column or row. I'm using the same Excel instance. I'm not worried about the column. And this name, I am going to write it as row to right. Some meaningful name, whichever you like. One of our requirement is that we need to update the serial number sequentially. So I need to find the last sequence number. If you look at our Excel sheet, let me open it again. When we are starting for the first time, the last row, the serial number is having a text value called SL. So only for the very first time, it will not be able to increment because it is a text value. Let me get the value from my Excel sheet. I'm going to use read from Excel worksheet. I'm going to read a specific cell, value from a single cell. Starting column, I'm going to read from column number 1, and the starting row is, we have already calculated what is the last row to right, and we want the previous row, so row to right minus 1. So the variable produced is serial number value. We don't know whether it is a text or whether it is a number. So we need to find if it is a text, if it is SL, we need to consider the serial number to start as 0. If it is not, then we need to take the exact value. So for that, I need to initialize another variable called serial number, and I'm going to initialize it as 0. Now, we need to use the condition. I'm going to the conditional, and I'm going to say if equal to serial number value is equal to SL. Serial number value is SL. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the serial number as 0. I'm going to use a set variable and select the serial number and make it 0 again. I'm going to the conditional. If not, if in the else condition, I am going to read from Excel once again. There are other ways to do it, but I'm not going to do all those things. I'm just going to copy this and paste it over here. And instead of SL value, I am going to write serial number. So if I run, if it is a first row, if it is SL, it will automatically consider the serial number as 0. Otherwise, it will take the last row's serial number. In our flow, when we are writing it, we will increment it by 1 and write it. And without any fail, we need to use our close Excel after our for loop is completed. We use the close Excel and we are closing the Excel instance and we are going to save the document. This is one important thing which we should not forget. Now, let me close this region so that we can look our flow simpler. We read everything. Now it is time for us to write to the Excel. So let me create one more region. Call this write to Excel. First thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to increment the serial number. I'm going to the variables and I'm going to simply say increase variable and I'm going to increase our serial number by 1. So it may give a warning, just ignore it because we have some text which we have converted for all those things. It may give a warning, you don't worry about that now. And now we are going to write to Excel. We will not use very complicated logic or anything. We are going to simply write one by one. So I'm going to the Excel and say write to Excel and value to write. First thing we are going to do is we are going to write the serial number on a specific cell. Column is 1 and row is row to write. And similar way, write to Excel. Let us open our Excel and see. Next is date. So we already have the date. Value to write. My transaction date. And we'll be writing it in column 2 and row equal to row to write. Next is account. Value to write is my account number. And column to write is 3. And row is row to write. Next is transaction ID. Write to worksheet. Value to write is my transaction ID. My transaction reference number. Column is 4 and row is row to write. Next, UPI ID and payee name and amount. Let us go it quickly. UPI ID we have as 𝗨𝗑𝗜 ID, and column to right is 5 and row is row to right. Next is UPI name, 𝗨𝗜 name, and column is 6 and row to right. Last is the amount. Value to right is my transaction amount, row is 7, column is 7 and row to right. We have written everything. And before we close this file, we need to write the last updated date. So how do you write it? We can write the Excel worksheet. We know very clearly that we have to write it in row number 2 and column number 2. Value to write is equal to now of, and column is 2 and row is 2. And now only one point is remaining. The row to right, we are reading it here. And it will be, for example, if you look at this current situation, the row to right is 4. Now, every time we are looping, we need to increment the row to right. That is the only thing pending. So, we will say variable, increment variable, and it is equal to row to right, will increment by 1. That's it. Everything is done. So, let me close this particular file and let us run the flow and see how it works. Now our flow is almost completed. Let us run the flow and test. Please note, this flow is going to take a lot of time. Be patient and ultimately your flow will run successfully. Now the flow is running and you will be able to see the Excel sheet getting updated one by one. Okay, now the flow is completed. It took a lot of time, to be very honest, but all my data are updated and the emails moved to another folder. Okay, we have successfully completed this particular flow. I hope this is very useful for you to understand how the Power Automate desktop can be used in a real life scenario. You can try with your own business problem or personal problems. And if you have any problem, just comment to me and I will be able to reply immediately. And I have one request. If you like this particular video, please don't forget to give a thumbs up to me and subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends. That's all for today. See you tomorrow in the next video with a different challenge. Thank you. Bye-bye.